You know, biodiversity is about an environment and something that young people have to grow up to inherit, and no matter how they want to keep it. So it's important that they have their voices heard now because they will grow up to be able to take care of that biodiversity at whatever stage it is. And because young people too are very close to nature. I don't know if you know, we're very close to nature. We like going to parks, pluck trees, climb trees as kids and do stuff like that. So we are very, very close to than any other generation ever. So it's important that our voices are heard here because we will have to be custodian of that biodiversity at one point.
Billy, how do you get your voice heard? Do you have to grab your country's delegates and sort of tell them exactly what you want? What's the kind of process of doing it, and how effective do you think you've been in trying to get your message across?
I think the most important thing, as Esther said, that the youth, we are part of the biodiversity. So it's very important that we are involved in all the different processes that in terms of policy. And so as young people, such events, we usually push that we can be part of these events, because whatever decisions are made, they have to be made with young people who are available and contributing effectively. So as Africa Youth Initiative on Climate Change, we believe in young people participating in such key events as a process, but not as an event. We've seen young people, like in Africa, they've been paraded, for to do campaigning for leaders. But when it comes to the key issues of developing most of the policies related to biodiversity or environment, they are keeping them away. I think the most important thing is to see young people are involved from the start to the end of all the key processes. Yeah.
And Esther, I mean, leaders always like to be alongside young people because it makes them look more attractive. But do you find often are you talking to a brick wall, or are some messages getting through?
You know, they have been young persons at one point in their life. They understand why it's important that they involve young people. So they do understand that. And sometimes they listen to us, they do. But it sometimes forgets as well when it comes to the main issue, because there's finance issue that is more important to them than that. But sometimes there are some of them that are allies that we don't need to induce them to talk about young people. They do that for us. And one of such persons that I know, it's in my country, is the late Professor Emmanuel Lombe, who just died earlier this year. He would have been here to do that. So there are people like that that understand the very importance of young people participating and engaging in biodiversity conservation or environmental issues around the world, because they know we will inherit it. We are like the custodian of everything they do because we will grow up to be like them. And that's the key thing about sustainable development. Young people are key to those issues. So sometimes we hear this voice, sometimes we don't. In my country, for instance, our MBSAP doesn't have anything on the stakeholders engagement. I can tell you that I am very disappointed. It's outdated. So it's time for us, the young people, I'm going to go back home and make sure that I mobilize more young people to engage in updating and engaging on the old MBSAP that we have that does not talk about stakeholders engagement, not less of young people. So it's a process for us, and I think that being here is giving me an inspiration to go home to engage further on these issues.
I think I'll just say something on what Esther said. Fundraising has been quite a key issue. And you've seen we've had a huge participation of young people during the UNFCCC's COPs. Especially the African youths, like last year in Durban, South Africa, we had a huge campaign, and we sent more than 100 young people to participate in that key meeting. But when it comes to biodiversity, that's when we are trying to push and to make sure that we have a full participation of young people from Africa. And like for me, I came here, I was sponsored by the Civil Society Environment Fund, and from Zambia. We had to push for it, and it came at the last minute. So we need such institutions, or we need our government to come in. We need people to come in, different companies, private sector. They have to support the youth participation, especially during the conference on biological diversity.
Just to add that, and because biodiversity is a rural issue, it's not an urban issue. A lot of young people out there just having their livelihoods based on the environment, like fishing, farming. Those are the young people that we really need to go out to reach out to them, hear their voices, and bring them on board, and so that they can have the core traditional knowledge of young people into the biodiversity issue. Because most of these people here are urban people. They don't. Biodiversity is not in the city. It's core thing in Africa. I'll tell you, core things in the rural communities like fishing, farming, doing all those sort of things, and it's time for them to come out from that place to share their own voice, how they see biodiversity and how they use traditional knowledge to protect it for their livelihoods.
And Billy, a lot of these decisions here will only come about if there is national pressure put on individual governments. How big in Zambia is biodiversity? Can you know, are individual candidates, do you have a Green Party, are individual candidates campaigning on green issues, on biodiversity issues, or is it more on a sort of development front?
We have one or two political parties coming in, to mostly talk about, sustainable energy. But the issue of biodiversity in our country it's something that more people haven't been involved, especially the youth from the rural areas. So it's very important, to tap their local, the indigenous knowledge, and to make it to good use to sort out most of the challenges we are facing. So, for organization Youth Environment Network Zambia, and we are organizing a national youth environment dialogue next month, so that we can bring young people from around the country. We bring them together so that we can discuss a way forward on how we protect or we conserve our biodiversity. But that is through the support from our Zambian government, through the Ministry of Lands, Natural Resources and Environmental Protection. Yeah, but all such things cannot come about, and what we are talking about, making sure that young people participate in some of these key issues. But it all comes about, coming up with strong networks. That is why in Africa we formed the Africa Youth Initiative on Climate Change, so that we can make the work of the young people and raise the voices of the young people heard by our leaders and all those around the world.
Esther, final point to you. Often when you seem to come to these conferences, they can be quite sort of European focused, European faces everywhere. How important is it to maintain pressure and maintain a strong African voice, because so many of these issues will affect Africa far worse than they'll affect the rest of the world? So do you feel you're being represented, and how important is that particular role, ensuring that, listen, we're African and we want to have our voices heard?
First I would like to appreciate those global North organizations that are supporting African to attend conferences. They've done enormously well. That's amazing. But sometimes it's challenging because it's not enough, really. And we need to get the support too from home to support what you're doing. But like I was saying, that sometimes it's very important, because most of the issues on the environment, it's either good in Africa or bad in Africa. It's that focus, and we need to do a lot of work there. Like I was just telling my friends that some European organization could have offices like in 5 European cities, just working on issues, and then have only one office in Africa. Africa is a continent, not a country. And if you want to do that, you need to understand that we're not just a single country, 54 countries in one continent. So if you don't understand how big we are and how complex we are, your work there in development will not succeed. But first, we need to appreciate what you've done. You've done an enormous way, but we need to change the way, be more innovative in the way they're doing things. And secondly, to organizations in Africa need to change the way they do things. All right, no manna doesn't fall from heaven. You need to be innovative and creative in doing things, and be able to do your own in-country resource mobilization to do that. That's a capacity that we lack. The ability that things will come out from somewhere for us, it's destroying us, it's destroying our vision for a better Africa.